Hello there. Welcome back to Monday Night Moods, where I tell you some stories to blow away those Monday moods. Um, could have moved it to Tuesday and called it Tuesday Night Terrors because I read dark stuff. But now, for the moment, it's Monday. I'm managing to keep on top of times at the moment, mostly. I was hoping to make these go out at 8 p.m. Mexico City time, but they're going out at 9 p.m. because life. Oh, me tablet's just gone off. There we go. And yeah, all the fun stuff. I was just having fun trying to get all the announcements out to social media because you can't link Threads and BlueSky and things to streaming services anymore. Like this used to go out automatically to what was called Twitter. But we don't do Twitter anymore because fuck him. But anyway, welcome. So tonight, this may be a slightly longer one than last one. It is a few more pages, so we're probably going to be over the hour again. So bear with. As I read this, we are on book 4 of Paradise Lost by John Milton, a poem. Yes, it's a poem in 10 books. This one is 21-ish pages long, so wish me luck. Wish me luck that my internet doesn't cut out again like it did last week, and so we missed a little bit. I will try and keep on top of that one, I hope. And with this one being longer than last time, there may be a point where I need to take a comfort break. Because sitting and reading out loud for over an hour can be a little bit stressful. If you know what I mean. Excuse me. I have a drink ready. Got some Guinness tonight. I used to when I started the podcast, what now 3 years ago it must be. I started during the first lockdown in the UK. I used to have a drink as I was recording it and theme the drinks around the tale. So if I was drinking Guinness, it would be an Irish tale. Drinking some Scottish stuff, I would tell Scottish tales. Japanese stuff, I'd tell Japanese tales, and all that kind of stuff. Now I don't drink at all when I do the podcast because I'm old. All the grey beard. And so I don't bother doing that anymore. I'm having a drink. I'm having one drink this evening because I got paid today and I got a really nice email this morning, so I'm feeling a little bit happy. Not going to talk about that email. It may or may not come to something, but anyway, I'm having one drink of Guinness, and that has nothing at all to do with this tale. Just whatever. I just thought I'd enjoy it. Guinness original. Anyway, enough of the detractions, enough of the sidelines. Let us get on with Paradise Lost. So, sit back, grab yourself a drink, and enjoy the tale. Book 4. Oh, for that warning voice, which he now... Good start. Oh, for that warning voice, which he who saw the apocalypse heard cry in heaven aloud. Then, when the dragon, put to second rout, came furious down to be revenged on men. Woe to the inhabitants on earth, that now, while time was, our first parents had been warned the coming of the secret foe, and scapt happily and scapt his mortal snare. For now Satan, now first inflamed with rage, came down, the tempter, ere the accuser of mankind, to wreak on innocent frail man his loss of that first battle, and his flight to hell, yet not rejoicing in his speed, though bold, far off and fearless, nor the cause to boast, begins his dire attempt which nigh the birth now rolling, boils in his tumultuous breast, like a devilish engine back recoils upon himself, horror and doubt distract his troubled thoughts, and from the bottom stir the hell within him. From within him hell he brings, and round about him, nor from hell one step no more than from himself can fly by change of place. Now conscious wakes despair that slumbered, wakes the bitter memory of what he was, what is, and what must be. Worse of worse deeds, worse sufferings must ensue. Sometimes toward Eden, which now in his view lay pleasant, his grieved look he fixes sad, and sometimes towards heaven and the full blazing sun, which now sat high in his meridian tower. Then, much revolving, thus in sighs began, O thou that was the You don't see this side of it in the podcast because I edit all this out. Except the last one where I left in all my Japanese translation cock-ups. But anyway. Then much revolving, thus in sighs began. O thou that with surpassing glory crowned, lookest from thy sole dominion, like the God of this new world, at whose side all the stars hide their diminished heads, to thee I call, but with no friendly voice, and add thy name, O sun, to tell thee how I hate thy beams that bring to my remembrance from what state I fell, how glorious once above thy sphere, till pride and worst ambition threw me down, warring in heaven against heaven's matchless king. Ah, wherefore he deserved no such return from me, whom he created what I was in that bright eminence, and with his good upbraided none, nor with his service hard. What could be less than to afford him praise, the easiest recompense, and pay him thanks, how due? Yet all his good proverbed ill in me, and wrought but malice. Lifted up so high, I snide in subjection. I think that's a spelling mistake. I say in subjection, and thought one step higher would set me highest, and in the moment quit the debt immense of endless gratitude. So bothersome, still paying, still throughout, forgetful what from how I still received and understood not, that a grateful mind by owing owes not, but still pays at once indebted and discharged. What burden then? Oh, had his powerful destiny ordained me some inferior angel, I had stood then happy, no unbounded hope had raised ambition. Yet why not? Some other power as great might have aspired, and me through mean drawn to his part, but other powers as great fell not, but stand unshaken from within or from without, to all temptations armed. Hast thou the same free will and power to stand? Thou hast. Whom hast thou then, or what to accuse, but heaven's free love dealt equally to all? Be then his love a curse, since love or hate to me alike it deals eternal woe. Nay, cursed be thou, since against his thy will choose freely what it now so justly rues. Me, miserable, which way shall I fly? Infinite wrath and infinite despair. Which way I fly is hell, myself am hell, and in the lowest deep a lower deep, still threatening to devour me, opens wide, to which the hell I suffer seems heaven. Oh, then, at last relent. Is there no place left for repentance? None for pardon left? None left but by submission, and that word disdain forbids me, and my dread of shame, among the spirits beneath, whom I seduced with other promises and other vaunts then to submit, boasting I could subdue thy omnipotent, I, me. They little know how dearly I abide that boast so vain, under what torments inwardly I groan, while they adore me on the throne of hell, with diadem and sceptre high advanced, the lower still I fall, only supreme in misery. Such joy ambitious finds. But say, I could repent and could obtain by act of grace my former state. How soon would highth recall high thoughts, how soon unsay what feigned submission swore, ease would recant vows made in pain, as violent and void. For never can be true reconcilement grow where wounds of deadly hate have pierced so deep, which would but lead me to a worse relapse and heavier fall. So should I purchase dear short intermission, bought with double smart? This knows my punisher, therefore as far from granting thee as I from beginning peace. All hope excluded thus, behold instead of our outcast exiled, his new delight mankind created, and for him his world, so farewell hope, and with hope farewell fear. Farewell remorse, all good to me is lost, evil be thou my good, evil be thou my good, be thee at least divided empire with heaven's king I hold, be thee, and more than half perhaps will reign as man ere long, and this new world shall know. Thus, while he spake, each passion dimmed his face, thrice changed while pale, ere envy and despair, which marked his borrowed visage and betrayed his counterfeit, if any eye beheld. For heavenly minds from such distempers foul are ever clear, whereof he's soon aware, each perturbation smoothed with outward calm, artificer or fraud, and was the first that practised falsehood under saintly sue, deep malice to conceal, could couched with revenge. Yet not enough had practised to deceive, Uriel once warned, whose eye pursued him down the way he went, and on the Assyrian mount saw him disfigured more than could befall spirit of happy sort. His gestures fierce he marked and mad demeanour then alone, as he supposed, all unobserved, unseen. So an he fares, and to the border comes of Eden where delicious paradise, now nearer, crowns with her enclosure green, as with a rural mound the champion head of a steed wilderness, whose hairy sides with thicket overgrown, grotesque and wild, access denied, and overhead upgrew insufferable height of loftiest shade, cedar and pine and fir and branching palm, a sylvan scene, and as the ranks ascend, shade above shade, a woody theatre of stalest view, yet higher than their hopes, the verdurous wall of paradise upsprung, which to our general sire gave prospect large into this nether empire neighbouring around, and high that wall a circling round with goodliest trees loaded with fairest fruit, blossoms and fruit at once of golden hue appeared, with gay emerald colours mixed, on which the sun more glad impressed his beams than in fair evening cloud or humid bough, when God hath shrouded the earth, so lovely seemed that land skipped, and of pure, now purer air meets his approach, and to the heart inspires vernal delight and joy, able to drive all sadness but despair, but gentle gales fanning their odoriferous wings dispense native perfumes, and whisper whence they stole those balmy spoils, as when to them who sail beyond the Cape of Hope, and now are past Mozambique, off at sea north-east winds blow, Sabian odors from the spicy shore of Araby the blest. With such delay, well pleased they slack their course, and many a league cheered with grateful smell old ocean's smiles. So entertained these odious sweets the fiend who came their bane, though with them better pleased than Asmodeus with the fishy fume that drove him, though enamoured from the spouse of Tobit's son, and with a vengeance sent from Media post Egypt, that these fast bound. Now to the ascent of that steep savage hill Satan journeyed on, pensive and slow, but further way found none, so thick entwined as one contured brake, the undergrowth of shrubs and tangling bushes had perplexed all path of man or beast that passed the way. One gate there only was, and that looked east, over the other side, which when the arch felon saw, due entrance he disdained, and in contempt, at one slight bound, high over leaped all bound of hill or highest wall, and sheer within lights on his feet. As when a prowling wolf, whom hunger drives to seek a new haunt for prey, watching where shepherds pen their flocks at eve, in hurdled quoits amid their fields secure, leaps o'er the fence with ease into the fold, or was a thief bent to unhoard the cash of some rich burgher, whose substantial doors, cross-barred and bolted fast, fear no assault, in at the window climbs, or over the tiles, so clomb this first grand thief into God's fold. So since into his church lewd hirelings climb, thence up he flew, and on to the tree of life. The middle tree and the highest there that grew, sat like a cormorant, yet none true life thereby regained, but sat devising death to them who'd lived, nor on the virtue of thought of that life-giving plant, but only used for prospect what well used had been the pledge of immortality. So little knows any but God alone to value right the good before him, but perverts best things to worst abuse, or to the meanest use beneath him with new wonder now he views, to all delight of human senses exposed, in narrow room nature's whose wealth, ye more a heaven on earth, for blissful paradise of God the garden was, but him in the east of Eden planted. Eden stretched her line from Orion eastward to the royal towers of great Seleucia, built by Grecian kings, or where the sons of Eden long before dwelt in Telassar. In his pleasant soil, his far more pleasant garden God ordained. Out of the fertile ground he caused to grow all trees of noblest kind, for sight, smell, taste, and all amid them stood the tree of life. High eminent, blooming, ambrosial fruit of vegetable gold, and next to life our death the tree of knowledge grew fast by. Knowledge of good, brought dear by knowing ill. Southward through Eden went a river large, nor changed his course, but through the shaggy hill passed underneath, engulfed. For God had thrown that mountain as his garden mole high raised upon the rapid current, which through veins of porous earth with kindly thirst updrawn rose a fresh fountain, and with many a rill watered the garden. Thence united fell down the steep glade and met the nether flood, which for his darksome passage now appears, and now divided into four main streams, runs divers, wandering many a famous realm and country, whereof here needs no account, but rather to tell how. If art could tell, how from the sapphire fount the crisp brooks rolling on orient pearl and sands of gold, with May's error undependent shays ran nectar, visiting each plant and fed flowers worthy of paradise, which not nice art in beds and curious knots, but nature boon powered forth profuse on hill and dale and plain. But where the morning sun first warmly smote the open field, and where the unperceived shade embrowned the noontide bowers, thus was a place a happy royal seat of various views. Groves whose rich trees wept odorous gums and balms, others whose fruit burnished with golden rind hung amiable, Hesperian fables true, if true, here only, and of delicious taste, betwixt them lawns, or level downs and flocks grassing the tender herb, where interposed a palmy hillock, or flowery lap of some ingrious valley spread her store, flowers of all hue and without thorn, the rose aside, umbrageous grots and caves of cool recess, o'er which the mantling vine lays forth her purple grape, and gently creeps luxuriant. Meanwhile, murmuring waters fall down the sloped hills, dispersed or in a lake, that, to be fringed bank with myrtle crowned, her crystal mirrors hold, and unite the streams the birds their choir apply. Airs, vernal airs, breathing the smell of the field and grove, attune the trembling leaves, while universal Pan knit with the graces and the whole hours in the dance, led on the eternal spring. Not that fair field of Enna, where, prospering gathering flowers, herself a fairer flower by gloomy Dis was gathered, which cost Ceres all the pain to seek her through the world, nor that sweet grove of Daphne by Orontes, and their inspired Castilian spring, might with this paradise of even strive, nor that Nisaean lie, nor that Nisaean eel girt, and the river Triton, where old Cham, whose gentles Ammon call, and Libyan Jove, hid Amalthea and her florid son, young Bacchus, from his step-dame Rhea's eyes, nor where Abyssinian kings their girths guard Mount Amara, though this by some supposed true paradise under the Ethiop line, by Nilus head enclosed with shining rock, a whole day's journey high, but wide remote from the Assyrian garden, where the fiend saw undelighted all delight, all kind of living creatures new to sight, and strange, to a far nobler shape, erect and tall, godlike erect, and with native honour clad in naked majesty, seemed lords of all, and worthy seemed, for in their looks divine the image of their glorious Maker shone. Truth, wisdom, sanctitude severe and pure severe, but in true filial freedom placed, whence true authority in men, though both not equal, as their sex not equal seemed. For contemplation he in valour formed, for softness she in sweet attractive grace. He for God only, she for God in him. His fair large front eye and sublime declared absolute rule, and hyacinth locks round from his parted forelock mainly hung, clustering, but not beneath his shoulders broad, she as a veil down to the slender waist, her unadorned golden tresses wore, dishevelled, but in wanton ringlets waved, as the vine curls her tendrils, which implied subjection, but required with gentle sway, and by her yielded, by him best received, yielded with coy submission, modest pride, and sweet reluctant amorous delay. Nor these mysterious parts were they concealed, then was not guilty shame, dishonest shame of nature's works, honour dishonourable, sin bred. How have ye troubled all mankind with shoes instead, mere shoes of seeming pure, and banishment from man's life, his happiest life, simplicity and spotless innocent? So passed they naked on, nor shunned the sight of angel or of God or angel, for they thought no ill. So hand in hand they passed, the loveliest pair that ever since in love's embraces met. Adam, the goodliest man of men since born his sons, the fairest of her daughters Eve. Under a tuft of shade that on a green stood whispering soft, by a fresh fountain's side they sat them down, and after no more toil of their sweet gardening labour, then sufficed to recommend cool zephyr, and made ease more easy, wholesome thirst and appetite more grateful, to their sup of fruits they fell, nectarine fruits, which which the complaint boughs yielded, sidelong as they sat recline, on the soft downy bank damask with flowers. The savoury pulp they chew, and the rind still, as they thirsted, scooped the brimming stream, nor gentle purpose nor endearing smiles wanted, nor youthful dalliance beseemed, fair couple linked in happy nuptial league, alone as they. Ooh. As lone as nuptial they. There we go. About them frisking played all beasts of the earth, since wild and all chase in woods and wilderness, forest or den, sporting the lion ramped, and in his paw dandled the kid, bears, tigers, ounces, pards, gamboled before them the unwieldy elephant, to make them mirths, all his might and wreathed his lithe proboscis, clothed the serpent sly, insinuating, wove the Gordian twine, his bearded train, and of his fatal guile gave proof unheeded. Others on the grass couched, and now filled with pasture gazing sat, or bedward ruminating, for the sun declined was hasting now with prone career to the ocean eels. And in the ascending scale of heaven the stars that usher evening rose, when Satan still in gaze as first he stood, scarce thus at length failed speech recovered sad. O hell! What do mine eyes with grief behold into our room of bliss, thus high advanced creatures of other mould? Earth-born perhaps, not spirits, yet to heavenly spirits bright, little inferior, whom my thoughts pursue with wonder and could love, so lively shines in them divine resemblance and such grace. The hand that formed them on their shape hath poured. Ah, gentle pair, ye little think how nigh your change approaches, when all these delights will vanish and deliver ye to woe. More woe, the more you taste, the more your taste is now of joy, happy, but for so happy I'll secured long to continue, and this high seat, your heaven ill, fenced for heaven, to keep out such a foe as now is entered, yet no purposed foe, to you whom I could pity thus forlorn, though I unpitied. League with you I seek, and mutual amity so straight, so close, that I with you must dwell, or you with me henceforth. My dwelling haply may not please, like this fair paradise, your sense, yet such accept your Maker's work, he gave it to me, which I as freely give. Hell shall unfold to entertain you to her widest gates and send forth all her kings. There will be room, not like these narrow limits, to receive your numerous offspring. If no better place, thank him who puts me loath to this revenge on you who wrong me, not for him who wronged. And should I at your harmless innocent melt as I doe, yet public reason just, honour and empire with revenge enlarged, by conquering this new world, and compels me now to do what else though I damned should abhor. So spake the fiend, and with necessity the tyrant's plea excused his devilish deeds. Then from his lofty stand on that high tree down he alights among the sportful herd of those four-footed kinds, himself now one, now other, as their shape served best his end, nearer to view his prey, and unespied to mark what their state he more might learn by word or action marked. About them round a lion, now he stalks with fairy glare, then as a tiger who by chance hath spied in some purlieu two gentle fawns at play, straight couches close. Then rising charges oft his couchant watch, as one whose chose his ground, whence rushing he might surest seize them both, gripped in each paw, when Adam, first of men, the first woman Eve, thus moving speech, turned him all air to hear new utterance flow. Sole partner and sole part of all these joys, dearer, excuse me, dinner. Sorry. Sole partner and sole part of these joys, dearer thyself than all, needs must the power that made us. For us this ample word by infinitely good, and of his good as liberal and free as infinite, that raised us from the dust and placed us here in all his happiness, who at this hand has nothing merited nor can perform, out whereof he hath need, he who requires from us no other service than to keep this easy charge of all the trees in paradise that bear delicious fruit, so various, not to taste that only tree of knowledge, planted by the tree of life. So near grows death to life, where'er death is, some dreadful thing no doubt, for well thou knowest God hath pronounced death to taste that tree, the only sign of our obedience left, among so many signs of power and rule conferred upon us, and dominion given over all other creatures that possess earth, air, and sea. Then let us not think hard. One easy prohibition, who enjoy free leave so large to all things else, and choice unlimited of manifold delights. But let us ever praise him and extol his bounty, following our delightful task to prune these growing plants and tend these flowers, which were toilsome, yet with thee were sweet. To whom this Eve replied, O thou, for whom and from whom I was formed flesh above flesh, and without whom am to end to no end, my guide and head. What thou hast said is just and right, for we to him indeed all praises owe, and daily thanks I chiefly, who enjoy so far the happier lot, enjoying thee preeminent by so much odds, while thou, like concert to thyself, canst nowhere find. That day I oft remember, when from sleep I first awaked, and found myself reposed under a shade of flowers, much wondering where and what I was, whence hither brought and how. Not distance far from thence a murmuring sound of waters issued from a cave, and spread into liquid plain. Then stood unmoved, pure as the expanse of heaven. I thither went with unexperienced thought, and laid me down on the green bank, to look into the clear smooth lake, that to me seemed another sky. As I bent down to look, just opposite, a shape within the watery gleam appeared, bending to look on me. I started back. It started back, but pleased I soon returned. Pleased it returned as soon with answering looks of sympathy and love. There I had fixed mine eyes till now, and pined with vain desire. Had not a voice thus warned me, what thou seest, what there thou seest, fair creature, is thyself. With thee it came and goes. But follow me, and I will bring thee where no shadow steers, thy coming and thy soft embraces. He whose image thou art, him thou shalt enjoy, inseparably thine. To him shalt bear multitudes like thyself, and thence be called mother of the great human race. What could I do but follow straight, invisibly thus led, till I espied thee, fair indeed and tall, under a plantain, yet methought less fair, less winning soft, less amiable mild. Then that smooth watery image back I turned. Thou flowing criest aloud, return, fair Eve, whom fliest thou? Whom thou fliest? Of him thou art, his flesh, his bone, to give thee being I lent, out of my sight, to thee nearest my heart, substantial life, to have thee by my side, henceforth an individual solace dear. Part of my soul I seek thee, and thee claim my other half. With that thy gentle hand seized mine, I yielded, and from that time see how beauty's exiled by manly grace and wisdom, which alone is truly fair. So spake our general mother, and with eyes of conjugal attraction unreproved and meek surrender, half embracing leaned on our first father. Half her swelling breast naked met his under the flowing gold of her loose tresses hid. He, in delight both of her beauty and submissive charms, smiled with superior love, as Jupiter on Juno smiles, when he impregns the cloud that shed many flowers, and pressed her matron lip with kisses pure. Aside the devil turned for envy, yet with jealous leer maligned eyed them askance. And to himself thus plain, sight hateful, sight tormenting. Thus these two in paradise, in one another's arms, the happier Eden, shall enjoy their fill of bliss on bliss, while I to hell am thrust, where neither joy nor love, nor fierce desire, among our other torments not the least, still unfilled with pain of longing pines, yet me not forget what I have gained from their own mounds. All is not theirs, it seems. One fatal tree there stands of knowledge called forbidden them to taste. Knowledge forbidden? Suspicious? Reasonless? Why should their lord envy them that? Can it be sin to know? Can it be death? And do they only stand by ignorance? Is that their happy state, the proof of their obedience and their faith? O fair foundation laid whereupon to build their ruin, hence I excite their minds with more desire to know, and to reject envious commands, invented with design to keep them low, whom knowledge might exalt equal with gods. Aspiring to be such, they taste and die. What likelier can ensue? But first with narrow search I must walk around this garden, and no corner leave unspied. A chance but chance may lead where I might meet some wandering spirit of heaven, by fountain side, or in thick shade retired from him to draw what further would learn to live while ye may, yet happier pair enjoy till I return. Short pleasures for long woes are to succeed. So saying, his proud step he scornfully turned, but with sly circumspection and began through wood, through waste, o'er hill, o'er dale his roam. Meanwhile in utmost longitude, where heaven with earth and ocean meets, the setting sun slowly descended, and with right aspect against the eastern gate of paradise levied his envying rays, his evening rays. It was a rock of alabaster, piled up to the clouds, conspicuous far, winding with one ascent accessible from earth. One entrance high, the rest was craggy cliff that overhung. Still, as it rose impossible to climb, betwixt these rocky pillars Gabriel sat, chief of the angelic guard, awaiting night. About him exercised heroic games the unarmed youth of heaven. But nigh at hand celestial armoury, shields, helms, and spears, hung high with diamond flaming and with gold. Thither came Uriel, gliding through the even, on a sunbeam, swift as a shooting star in autumn thwarts the night, when vapours feared impress the air, and shews the mariner from what point of his compass to beware impetuous winds. He thus began in haste. Gabriel, to thee thy cause by lot hath given charge and strict watch, that to his happy place no evil thing approach or enter in. This day at highest noon came to my sphere a spirit, zealous as he seemed to know more of the Almighty's works, and chiefly man God's latest image. Sorry. Hi, Steve. Now where was I? Charge and strict watch to this happy place, no evil thing approach or enter in. This day at highest of noon came to my sphere a spirit zealous, as he seemed to know more of the Almighty's work, and chiefly man God's latest image. I described his way bent all on speed, and marked his airy gait. But in the mount that lies from Eden north, where he first lighted, soon discerned his looks, alien from heaven, with passions foul obscured. Mine eyes pursued him still, but under shade lost sight of him. One of the banished crew, I fear, hath ventured from the deep to raise new troubles. Him thy care must be to find, to whom the winged warrior thus returned. Uriel, no wonder if thy perfect sight, amid the sun's bright circle where thou sittest, see far and wide, in at this gate none pass the vigilance here placed, but such as come well known from heaven, and since meridian hour, no creature thence, if spirit or other sort, so minded here o'erleapt these earthly bounds on purpose. Hard, thou knowest, it is to exclude spiritual substance with corporeal bar, but if within the circuit of these walks, in whatsoever shape he lurk, of whom thou tell'st by morrow dawning I shall know. So promised he, and Uriel to his charge returned on that bright beam. Excuse me. So promised he, and Uriel to his charge returned on that bright beam, whose point now raised bore him slope downward to the sun, now fallen beneath the Azores, whither the prime orb, incredibly how swift, had thither rowled diurnal, or this less voluble earth by shorter flight to the east had left him there, arraying with reflected purple and gold the clouds that on his western throne attend. Now came till evening on, and twilight grey had in her sober livery all things clad, silence accompanied, for beast and bird, they to their grassy couch, these to their nests, were slunk. All but the wakeful nightingale, she, all night long her amorous descent slung, silence with pleased. Now glowed the firmament with living sapphires. Hesperus, that led the starry host, rode brightest, till the moon, rising in the cloud majesty, at length apparent queen unveiled. That says unveiled. At length apparent queen unveiled her peerless light, and o'er the dark her silver mantle threw, when Adam thus to Eve fair consort the hour of night, and all things now retired to rest. Mind is of like repose, since God hath set labour and rest as day and night to men successive, and the timely dew of sleep, now falling with soft slumberous weight, inclines our eyelids. Other creatures all day long rove idle, unemployed, and less need rest. Man hath his daily work of body or mind appointed, which declares his dignity and the regard of heaven on all his ways, while other animals unactive range, and of their doings God takes no account. Tomorrow, ere fresh morning streak the east, with first approach of life, we must be risen, and at our pleasant labour to reform yon flower bores, yonder allies green, our walks at noon when branches overgrown, that mock our scant that mock our scant manuring, and require more hands than ours to lop their wanton growth, these blossoms also, and those droppings gums, that lie bestrewn unsightly and unsmooth. Ask riddance, if we mean to tread with ease, meanwhile all nature wills, night bids us rest. To whom thus Eve with perfect beauty adorned, my author and deposer, what thou bist, unargued I obey, so God ordains. God is thy law, thou mine, to know no more. Is woman's happiest knowledge and her praise? With thee conversing, I forget all time, all seasons and their change, all please alike. Sweet is the breath of morn, her rising sweet, with charm of earliest birds, pleasant the sun, when first on this delightful land he spreads his orient beams, on herb, tree, fruit, and flower, glistening with dew, fragrant the fertile earth. After soft showers, and sweet the coming on, grateful evening mild, then silent night, with her solemn bird and his fair moon, and these the gems of heaven, her starry train. But neither breath of morn, when she ascends with charm of earliest birds, nor rising sun on this delightful land, nor herb, fruit, flower, glistening with dew, nor fragrance and after showers, nor grateful evening mild, nor silent night with this her solemn bird, nor walk by moon or glittering starlight, without thee is sweet. But wherefore all night long shine these, for whom this glorious sight, when sleep hath shut all eyes, to whom our general ancestor replied, daughter of God and man, accomplished Eve, those have their course to finish round the earth by morrow evening, and from land to land in order, though to nations yet unborn ministering light prepared, they set and rise, lest total darkness should by night regain her old possession, and extinguish life in nature and all things with these soft fires, not only enlighten, but with kindly heat of various influence ferment and warm, temper or nourish, or impart, shed down the stellar virtue on all kinds that grow on earth, made hereby apter to receive perfection from the sun's most potent ray. Ooh. I'm getting hot. My face is going red. Even though when I do that, it goes very white. I'm getting very hot. Ooh. Anyway, these then, though unbeheld in deep of night, shine not in vain, nor think, though men were none, that heaven would want spectators, God want praise. Millions of spiritual creatures walk the earth unseen, both when we wake and when we sleep. All these with ceaseless praise his works behold, both day and night. How often from the steep of echoing hill or thicket have we heard celestial voices to the midnight air, soul or responsive each to other's notes, singing the great Creator, oft in bands, while they keep watch or nightly rounding walk, with heavenly touch of instrumental sounds, in full harmonic number join their songs, divide the night, and lift our thoughts to heaven. Thus, taking hand in hand alone, they passed on to their blissful bower. It was a place chosen by the sovereign planter, when he framed all things to man's delightful use. The roof of thickest covert was inwoven shade and laurel and myrtle, and what high grew a firm and fragrant leaf, on either side acanthus, and each odorous bushy shrub, fenced up with verdant wall, each beauteous flower. Iris, all hues, roses and gethsemane, reared high their florist heads between, and wrought mosaic underfoot the violet, crocus and hyacinth with rich inlay broiled the ground, more coloured than with stone of costliest emblem. Other creature here, beast, bird, insect or worm, durst enter none. Such was their awe of man in shadier bower, more sacred and sequestered, though but feigned. Pan or Sylvanus never slept, nor nymph, nor Faunus haunted. Here, in close recess, with flowers, garlands, and sweet-smelling herbs espoused, Eve decked first her nuptial bed, and heavenly choirs the hymnanian song. What day the genial angel to our sire brought her in naked beauty, more adorned, more lovely than Pandora, whom the gods endowed with all their gifts, and oh, too, like in the sad event when to the unwiser son of Japhet, brought by Hermes, she ensnared mankind with her fair looks, to be avenged on him who had stole Jove's authentic fire. Thus, at their shady lodge arrived, both stood, both turned, and under open sky adorned the God that made both sky, air, earth, and heaven, which they beheld the moon's resplendent glow, and starry pole. Thus also madest the night, maker omnipotent, and thou the day, which we in our appointed work employed have finished happy in our mutual help and mutual love, the crown of all our bliss ordained by thee. And this delicious place for us too large, where thy abundance wants partakers, and uncropped falls to the ground. But thou hast promised from us too a race to fill the earth, who shall with us extol thy goodness infinite, both when we wake and when we seek, as now, the gift of sleep. This said unanimous, and other rites observing none, an adoration pure, which God likes best, into their inmost bower handed they went, and ease the putting off the troublesome disguises of we wear, straight side by side were laid. Nor turned, I ween, Adam from his fair spouse, nor Eve the rites mysterious of connubial love refused. Whatever hypocrites austerely talk of purity in place and innocence, defaming as impure what God declares pure and commands to some, leaves free to all. Our Maker bids increase, whose bids abstain, but our destroyer foe to God and man. Hail, wedded love, mysterious law, true source of human offspring, sole propriety in paradise of all things common else. By thee adulterous lust was driven from men, among the bestial herds to range. By thee founded in reason, loyal, just and pure, relations dear, and all the charities of father, son, and brother first were known. Far be it that I should write thee sin or blame, or think thee unbefitting holiest place, perpetual fountain of domestic sweets, whose bed is undefiled and chaste pronounced, present or past, the saints and patriarchs used. Her love his golden shafts implores, her lights his constant lamp, and waves his purple wings, reigns here and reveals, not in the bought smile of harlots, loveless, joyless, unendeared casual fruition, nor in court amour's mixed dance, or wanton mask, or midnight ball, or serenade, which the starved lover sings to his proud fair best, quitted with disdain. These, lulled by nightingales, embracing slept, and on their naked limbs the floor roof shroud roses which the morn repaired. Sleep on, blessed pair, and oh yet happiest if ye seek no happier state, and know to know no more. Now had night measured with her shadowy cone halfway uphill this vast sublunar vault, and from their ivory port the cherubim forth, issuing at the accustomed hour, stood armed to their night watches in warlike parade. When Gabriel to his next in power thus spoke, Uziel, half these draw off, and the coast south with strictest watch, these other watch wheel the north. Our circuit meets full west, as flame they part, As flame they part, half wheeling to the shield, half to the spear. For these two strong and subtle spirits he called that near him stood, and gave them thus in charge. Ithoriel and Zephon with winged speed search through his garden, leave unsearched no nook, but chiefly where those two fair creatures lodge. Now laid perhaps asleep, secure of harm, this even from the sun's decline arrived. Who tells of some infernal spirits seen? Hitherward bent, who could have thought escaped the bars of hell on errand bad, no doubt. My foot's going numb. Not long now. Such were ye fine, seizes fast and hither bring. So saying, on he had his radiant files, dazzling the moon, these to the bower direct, in search of whom they sought, him here they found, squat like a toad close at the eyrie of Eve, essaying by his devilish art to reach the organs of her fancy, and with them forge illusions as he list, phantasms and dreams, or if, inspiring venom, he might taint the animal spirit, that from pure blood arise like gentle breaths from rivers pure, thence rise at least distempered, discontented thoughts, vain hopes, vain aims, inordinate desires blown up with high conceits, engendering pride. Him thus intent Ithuriel with his spear touched lightly, for no falsehood can endure touch of celestial temper, but returns of force to its own likeness. Up he starts discovered and surprised, as when a spark lights on a heap of nitrous powder, laid fit for the sun magazine to store against a rumoured war. The smutty grain, with sudden blaze diffused, inflames the air, so started up in his own shape the fiend. Back stepped those two fair angels, half amazed, so sudden to behold the grisly king. Yet thus, unmoved with fear, accost him soon. Which of those rebel spirits adjoining to hell comest thou, escaped to thy prison and transformed? Why satest thou, like an enemy in wait, here watching at the head of these that sleep? Know ye not then, said Satan, filled with scorn, know ye not me? Ye knew me once no mate for you, there sitting where you durst not soar. Not to know me argues yourselves unknown, the lowest of your throng, or if ye know, why ask ye, and superfluous begin your message, like to end as much in vain? To whom thus Zephon answered, scorn with scorn. Think not, revolted spirit, thy shape the same, or undiminished brightness to be known as when thou stoodest in heaven, upright and pure. That glory then, when thou no more wast good, departed from thee, and thou resemblest now thy sin, and place of doom obscure and foul. But come, for thou, be sure, shalt give account to him who sent us, whose charge is to keep this place inviolable, and those from harm. So spake the cherubim. And gave his rebuke, severe in youthful beauty, added grace invincible. Abashed the devil stood, and felt how awful goodness is, and saw virtue in her shape, how lovely, saw and pined his loss, but chiefly to find here observed his lust visibly impaired, yet seemed undaunted. If I must contend, said he, best with the best, the sender not the sent, or all at once, more glory will be won, or less be lost. Thy fear, said Zephon bold, will save us a trial with the least can do, single against the wicked and thence weak. The fiend replied not, overcome with rage, but like a proud steed reined, went haughty on, champing his iron curb. To strive or flee he held it vain, or from above had quelled his heart, not else dismayed, nor drew nigh the western point, where those half-rounding guards just met, and a closing stood in squadron joined, awaiting next command. To whom their chief, Gabriel, from the front thus called aloud, O friends, I hear the tread of nimble feet hastening this way, and now by glimpse discern Ithoriel and Zephon, though the shade, and with them comes a third of regal port, but faded splendour one, Won by his gait and fierce demeanour seems the prince of hell. Not likely to part hence without contest. Stand firm, for in his look defiance laws. He scarce has ended when those two approached. And briefly related whom they had brought, where found, how bruised, in what form and posture couched, to whom with stern regard thus Gabriel spake. Why hast thou, Satan, broke the bounds prescribed to thy transgressions, and disturbed the charge of others, who approve not to transgress by thy example, but have power and right to question thy bold entrance on this place? Implored, it seems, to violate sleep, and those whose dwelling God hath planted here in bliss? To whom thus Satan, with contemptuous brow, Gabriel, thou hast in heaven esteemed of wise, and such I held thee. But this question asked puts me in doubt. Lives there who loves his pain? Who would not, finding way, break loose from hell? Thou thither doomed. Thou wouldst thyself, no doubt, and boldly venture to whatever place farthest from pain, where thou mightest hope to change torment with ease, and soonest recompense dole with delight. Which in this place I sought to thee no reason, who knowest only good, but evil hast not tried, and will not object his will who bound us. Let him sure bar his iron gates, if he intends our stay in that dark disdurance. Thus much what was asked, the rest is true. They found me where they say, but that implies not violence or harm. Thus, in score, the warlike angel moved disdainfully, half smiling, thus replied, O loss of one in heaven to judge so wise, since Satan fell, whom folly overthrew, and now returns him from his prison scraped, gravely in doubt whether to hold them wise or not. Who ask what boldness brought him hither, unlicensed from his bounds in hell prescribed? So wise he judges it to fly from pain, however, and to escape his punishment. So judge thou still, presumptuous, till the wrath which thou incurrest by flying meet thy flight sevenfold, and scourge that wisdom back to hell, which taught thee, yet no better, that no pain can equal anger infinite provoked. But wherefore thou alone? Wherefore with thee came not all hell broke loose? Is pain to them less pain, less to be fled? Or thou than they less hardy to endure? Courageous chief, the first in flight from pain, hast thou alleged to thy deserted host this cause of flight? Thou scarcely hast not come sole fugitive. To which the fiend thus answered, frowning stern, Not that I less endure, or shrink from pain, insulting angel. Well thou know'st I stood thy fiercest, when in battle to thy aid the blasting voiled thunder made all speed, and seconded thy else not dreaded spear. But still thy words at random as before. Argue thy inexperience what behoves from hard essays and ill successes past, a faithful leader, not to hazard all through ways of danger by himself untried. I alone first undertook to wing the desolate abyss and spy this new created world, whereof in hell fame is not silent, here in hope to find better abode, and my afflicted powers to settle here on earth, or in mid-air, though for possession put to the try once more what thou and thy gay legions dare against, whose easier business were to serve the Lord high up in heaven, with songs to him his throne, and practise distances to cringe, not fight. To whom the warrior angel soon replied, to say, and straight unsay, pretending first wise to flee pain, professing next to spy, argues no leader, but a liar tract. Satan, and couldst thou faithful add, O name, O sacred name of faithfulness profaned, faithful to whom? To thy rebellious crew, army of fiends, fit body to fit head? Was this your discipline and faith engaged, your military obedience, to dissolve allegiance to thy acknowledged power supreme? And thou, thy sly hypocrite, who now wouldst seem patron of liberty, who more than thou once fawned and cringed and servilely adored heaven's awful monarch? Wherefore but in hope to dispossess him, and thyself to reign? But mark what I read thee now, avaunt! Fly thither whence thou fleddest. If from this hour within these hallowed limits thy appear, back to thy infernal pit I drag thee chained, and seal thee so, as henceforth not to scorn the facile gates of hell too slightly barred. So threatened he, but Satan to no threats gave heed, but waxing more in rage replied, Then, when I am thy captive, talk of change, proud limiteer, cherubim, but ere then, far heavier load thyself expect to feel from a prevailing arm. Thou heaven's king ride on thy wings, and thou, with thy compeers used to the yoke, drawest his triumphant wheels in progress through the road of heaven starred paved, while thus he spoke. The angelic squadron, bright, turned fiery red, sharpening in morn horns thy phalanx, and began to hem him around with ported spears, as thick as when a field of Ceres ripe for harvest, weaving bends her bearded grove of ears. Which way the wind sways them, the careful ploughman doubting stands, lest on the threshing floor his hopeful sheaves prove chaff. On the other side Satan, alarmed, collecting all his might, dilated stood, like Tenerife or Atlas unmoved, his stature reached the sky, and on his crest sat horror plumbed, nor wanted in his grasp what seemed both spear and shield, now dreadful deeds might have ensured, nor only one paradise in this commotion, but the starry cope of heaven perhaps, or all the elements at least had gone to rack, disturbed and torn with violence of this conflict, had not soon the Eternal, to prevent such horrid fray, hung forth in heaven his golden scales, yet seen betwixt Astrea and the Scorpion sign, wherein all things created first he weighed. The pendulous round earth with balanced air in counterpoise now ponders all events, battles and realms. In these he put two weights, the sequel each of parting and of flight. The latter grew quick and kicked the beam, which Gabriel spying thus bespoke the fiend, Satan, I know thy strength, and thou knowst mine, neither our own but given. What folly then to boast what arms can do, since thine no more than heaven permits, nor mine, thou doubled now to trample thee as mire. For proof, look up, and read thy lot in yon celestial sign, where thou art weighed, and shown how light, how weak if thou resist. The fiend looked up, and knew his mountain scale aloft, nor more, but fled murmuring, and with his fled the shades of night. The end of the 4th book of Paradise Lost. And there we have it. We have met the garden, the paradise that has been lost. We have met Adam, we have met Eve. And a bit of an argy-bargy between Satan and Gabrielle. And next week, we shall continue the tale. So thank you for listening, my friends. All that is left for me to say is goodbye. As I drop things on the floor. Goodbye, everybody.